Dorian, just for your benefit, mate, we'll be talking about this new building safety levy that's come into force, coming in the 1st of October.
It's a little stealth tax there.
It's another stealth tax.
Is that coming in Wales?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I didn't even know this was coming in. I was like, I had no idea. I don't know.
It says England, but also, yeah, it doesn't apply to social housing, so you're all right, mate. You're safe. You're
Oh, it
fine.
doesn't apply to social housing.
No.
Oh, there we go.
Apparently not.
Apparently,
Well,
social housing doesn't need to be as good quality. We don't need to charge that. No,
No.
it
No,
doesn't.
no.
It doesn't apply in Wales. You bastard.
it is a social housing crisis out there, Jack.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Jack, can I just on one of the points you said about the end tax, like being okay with the end tax, and I agree completely from a business perspective that, like, if you make profit, then at least that's when you're paying tax. You've made something out of it. But the rate of taxation, though, there has to be an incentive to want to take the risk and build something to make loads of money. And if you know that at the end of it, you're going to be giving so much of it to the tax man, and you kind of go, okay, well, for every 5 working days that I work on this scheme and take these big risks and do all this and that, the government's taken 2 of my days or 3 of my days worth of work in taxable revenue. And it just feels like that from all ends of the spectrum, the tax is just going absolutely bonkers, like crazy. And the biggest reason is because, and they're trying to say it's developers, it's billionaires, and all this shit who've caused all these problems, which is to Daniel Priestley's point. But at the end of the day, it's just the size of the government. The government just needs all this revenue, otherwise they spook the bond market. So they're just trying to do what they can to fleece all of us because they're too big. They're over 50% of the economy, and that's the fundamental issue. Is that. And that's it. And my optimism, I've got a bit of optimism on this, is that in the 70s, it was a dire scenario. Maggie came in and solved it, and she fixed it with some strength, and she battled back. And I see that's what's going to happen next. So it's like, yes, we're in a very bad time at the moment. It's going to get worse, but then we're going to get that's going to be a wake up call, hopefully, to the whole of society and the economy. And then we're going to get a good government that comes in and goes, yeah, we should probably fix this. And then hopefully see quite a lot of these decisions reversed, which has to be the lens.
There's only so long you can go of it being bad, though. Like it, I completely agree with you. It has to go so bad that there's change. Otherwise, there just won't be change.
Yeah.
It's when the country gets pushed to such a breaking point. There's prosperous change, and that's all great. But that also on the way to get there, it's almost like if you're in a. I've got an analogy for you guys. If you're in a battle and you're holding your ground, and you can hold your ground until the point of breaking point. But if you're losing men every day, there becomes a point where holding your ground isn't holding your ground anymore. So, we'll come on to what Daniel Priestley has to say about it. We're losing, what is it, 1,000 entrepreneurs from the UK every month still. Like there becomes a point where the support of who is there left to tax if everyone fucks off? Because the longer you leave it, the longer that the more prolonged. The only solution to do is leave. So it's almost like it's all well and good that there will be change, and I believe there will. We're all considerably young, and we will see Britain change for the better, I'm sure. And I'm not talking about we're moaning about being taxed. Like that's not really what I'm saying. I'm like want self-prospering economy that benefits everyone. The fact that our welfare bill is now more than our income tax bill is just ludicrous to me. That's just unviable. Like that is a business set up to fail. We are a country, if we were monitored as business, basically you're saying your revenue is less than your cost.
But it gets Labour votes. Like that's the sick thing is it's not designed to help people who need it. It's designed so that the left can get fucking votes. It's literally a voting. They're spending what 300 odd billion a year just so they can manipulate the masses into voting for them. Like
Yeah.
it's complete political tyranny. It's insane. Do you
Yeah.
want to play the Daniel Priestley?
What Ryan's getting at there is if one successful entrepreneur or business owner is taxed, for an example, £100, that £100 is then divvied up in the welfare category by paying 10 people £10 to live. And what Ryan is saying is you're then getting 9 votes, 9 additional votes against obviously the entrepreneurs. So the voting right is population over power. But yeah, let's play it. It's quite a long video, but I highly recommend, just to sort of lead into it, any entrepreneur that is a business owner director watches this video and looks into it. Obviously, we're going to talk about it. But yeah, let's fire away.
Hey, entrepreneurs, business owners, I kind of have to warn you about something and tell you about a change that you may not be familiar with the taxes in the UK that is going to be pretty savage for a few families and a few people. As of April the 6th, the government has changed the inheritance tax laws so that any business valuation that is over 2.5 million of business valuation is going to be taxed at 20% by the government. Now, the government knows absolutely nothing about business valuations, right? And just imagine this scenario for a minute. Imagine that an entrepreneur builds a technical company, some sort of technology business, and obviously they're the leader of it. They're the key person of influence for that business. Let's say that they co-found the business and they raise money at a 25 million valuation, which means their half of the business or their share of the business is worth 12.5 million, which means it's 10 million above the threshold. Now, incredibly, if that entrepreneur were to pass away, they would owe £2 million on shares that are illiquid and shares that are only valuable because of their involvement. And it would not surprise me to see a situation where HMRC says, oh yeah, your shares are worth 12.5 million, you owe 2 million against the 10 million surplus. The business is not going to shut down because your co-founder is still going to run it. And therefore you just owe 2 million. So where does that 2 million come from? Like, that business may, with a tech business, that business may only have revenue of a few million because of the technical challenge that they're solving, or because of the VC valuation, or because of the private equity valuation that they've got. So you could easily have a founder who gets hit by a bus and their family is then left with a £2 million tax bill on paper value shares. Like, this is absolutely insane. This is crazy, right? Now, mind you, this stuff happens. People have a stroke. People get in an accident. Like, it really does happen. There are millions of entrepreneurs where all you would need is some jobs worth at HMRC to say that your company is worth 12.5 million and your family have a 2 million tax bill. So let's play it out. So let's say the business has 2 million of cash in the business. If you try and get that cash out of the business, you have to dividend it out to the family. So there's about 40% of taxes there. So even if you had £2 million in the business, you would lose 800 grand of that. So you'd have 1.2 million. Where are you going to get the other? Right? Is the business even worth anything when the cash is pulled out and the founder's dead? You could have a situation where you pull all the cash out, the founder is dead, there's no cash, the business literally goes bankrupt, and HMRC wants their pound of flesh. This is getting crazy. They want everything. Someone at HMRC, someone in government, has decided that in the UK, they do not want you earning more than 100,000 a year, because as soon as you hit 100,000 a year, they charge you at 65% effective rate. So they've put a real tax wall at 100,000 a year. They do not want you. Don't you dare earn more than 100,000 a year. And they do not want you to have a higher net worth than 2.5 million. And I know this because they're now taxing homes at more than 2.5 million, right? They're calling it a mansion tax. And they are taxing businesses that are worth more than 2.5 million. And they're doing it in such an oppressive way that you can literally destroy the entire wealth of the business, the entire value of the business. You can destroy the entire cash of the business. You could bring that business down to its knees trying to pay the tax bill if the entrepreneur died. And it seems like the very, very clear agenda of this Labor government, or the shitheads bureaucracy blob that runs the country, it seems like what they want is that nobody earns more than 100 grand and no one accumulates more than 2.5 million of wealth. No exceptions, right? They want you to be a plow horse. If you're a productive person, if you're a productive entrepreneur, they want you as a plow horse. They want you to work your guts out, paying taxes. They want your income. They want your pension. They want your house, and they want your business. They want to take it all, right? If you've got cash, they want it. This is the very first wealth tax, all right? This is a wealth tax because the business wasn't sold. This is just a business where you died. The business hasn't been sold. It hasn't achieved an actual valuation. They are going to value the business, and then they're going to take 20%. And I guarantee you the same framework that they're going to use for this particular strategy to extract value from hardworking people who have built a business at their time of grief, the same framework is what they will put in place with a wealth tax. They will value your business periodically, and they'll just take money from you. And I hate to say this because the country that I arrived in 20 years ago was pro-growth, pro-wealth, pro-entrepreneur. It really was. Like London was pro-wealth, pro-growth, pro-entrepreneur 20 years ago. London's a great city. It's an awesome city, and it's going to be around for another 1,000 years. Look at this, right? Beautiful, right? Beautiful day in London on a day like today. London is going to be around for another 1,000 years, but we are going through a socialist chapter where they are not pro-growth, they are not pro-entrepreneur, and they're not pro-wealth. Here's a question. Has there ever been a city or a country that was anti-wealth that did really well as a result? I don't think so. I don't think it ever happens.
But yeah, I mean the clear. I mean just beyond the communist bit, because I think we could talk about that after. But the idea of this tax, I mean, just again, who do they consult when going we should implement this tax? Like who's that? There's just clearly no foresight, no due diligence done. This is Gestapo. This is them just wanting to control people, and all it's going to do is just force people to leave. And Daniel Priestley, for anyone's benefit who doesn't watch the full thing, he goes on to say about how he's now at a point where he thinks he's going to have to leave the country. He doesn't really have a choice. The government's forced his hand, and that's another, uber wealthy. I think he's a decamillionaire who's going to leave the country. Like, just fucking ridiculous. It's fucking crazy. What do you guys think about this inheritance tax thing? Because it is, as he's described, ridiculous.